This is my unboxing video for a Miller Thunderbolt 210 XL DC stick welder. I might prefer to speak closer to the camera to make sure the voice comes out good. Looks like this might be the part number here, 907722. I was real excited about this because I have a Dynasty that I bought for TIG welding, and then once I started stick welding, it's never available for TIG welding. So I wanted to get a dedicated stick welder. When I use my Dynasty, which is still configured that way now, I stick weld and I have the work clamp stuck in the negative and then the electrode stuck in the positive. So it's DC electrode positive, and then it's just set up for stick welding. And whenever I want to TIG weld, my Dynasty's not available. So I'm real excited about getting a dedicated DC stick welder. I use a lot of 6010 on DC electrode positive, of course. A lot of 7018 on DC electrode positive. And let's see what I got here. This is the box that came with the TIG runner. No, it's not. Well, it's actually called a small runner cart. I got this small runner cart ready for my Thunderbolt. I had to put in the shelf here that I made. It's a piece of steel. This is my extra argon. It's obviously not associated with my stick welder. So I'm going to yell to make sure that you can hear me because the microphone is in the camera. So this cost me $745. I got it from Welding Supplies at IOC. And here's that. Thunderbolt 210, that's what I got. I always buy all my welders at 220 volts. Here's my work clamp. Looks like it's okay. And then my electrode holder, which you got to imagine would be good up to 210 amps. Let's have a look at my electrode holder. The electrode holder I have now is a Tweco 250 amp, and it's all beat up. So I'm glad to get a new electrode holder. There it is. Looks like it'll serve. That's real tight tension. Okay. Great. That was the electrode holder. Some styrofoam. This is, it says it's number 4 cable. Not sure if that means it's 4 gauge or if it's number 4 cable. It says number 4 cable. Kind of smaller DINS connectors than I'm used to. And this cable looks like it's about a little less than a ½ inch. Surprised it doesn't say the specification on the cable, because I like the cable to be as thick as possible. So let's see what we got here. Number 4 cable. So that is going to be rated for at least 210 amps. Here's the power cord. Like my Millermatic 252. There's a pouch for carrying the cables. And finally, here's the welder. It weighs 15 pounds. I love stick welding. It's very fun. So here's the Miller 210 Thunderbolt XL. This shows that it's on. This shows if it's overheating. Infinite current control, constant current, goes up to 210 amps. Looks like it goes down to 25 amps. I've been stick welding a lot. The lowest I've ever gone down is 27 amps when I was welding on 049. It's pretty light. They have a Hobart Stickmate, which is the same exact thing, and it costs $200 less, but I wanted mine to be blue so it would match my other machines. Here's the back, here's a power button. And like I say, I got this small runner cart, which is a Miller cart, for this, and I know it fits because I measured. When you buy a small runner cart, it doesn't have this shelf here. I had to take a piece of 14 gauge. It's 11 9/16 by 21 inches, and then mount it in there. So let's turn this thing on and see how it runs. All right, I'm ready to plug it in for the first time. Here's the 210 volt plug. I noticed that's the same plug that my Millermatic 252 has. This is the plug for my Millermatic 252. And now I'm hoping that it comes on. I sure won't need this strap. Please come on. Okay, good, it came on. Okay, so I'm going to take this strap off later, and you guys can watch me hook up the cables. But first, let's look at this pouch that came with it. Because if you get the Hobart Stickmate, you save $200, but the machine isn't blue, and you don't get one of these. This is for carrying the electrodes around, or carrying the cables around. That's a real nice pack. Kind of a rubbery, very nice pack. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect the power when I connect the cables. Looks like I'm going to have to put on a work clamp or electrode clamp there. So I have no power to the machine. This is kind of a small little DINS connector. My Miller Dynasty My Miller Dynasty 210DX has this size DINS connectors. They're real big. And then this Thunderbolt 210, note that both machines are 210, has this size DINS connector. So that's the difference. And I suppose I'll edit out some of this. You don't need to see me taking off the little wire there. This here is interesting. And like I said, I make sure to have no power to the machine when I'm messing with this. Let me see which one's positive, which one's negative. Positive is on the right. I'm going to have this set up a DC electrode positive and probably leave it that way forever. So let's have a look at the electrode clamp. It says this screw, which is a grub screw, is not removable. Interesting. Very interesting. I might have to get into the instructions to see how to hook that up. Maybe this just, oh, this is just going to slide off. That's the only explanation, the only thing that would make sense. Because it had to know that this screw is not removable. So this is just going to slip on and off. And it's tight. Wow, that's really tight. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. This is the electrode holder. Has a hard plastic cover here and a note here that says screw not removable, and this just pulls off. And then this is, say, copper or some sort of cast something. Electrode positive. This, what I'm going to show you, was in the bag with the electrode holder. A little bit of copper flashing, a little bit of thin copper foil or sheet, and a hex key, and 2 grub screws. And they are Phillips. These are Phillips, but they gave me a hex key. So I'm going to go get a big Phillips screwdriver. I'm going to take a look at the work clamp or the ground clamp, because I'm still a little perplexed why one of the leads had this on it. So that is obviously, now I see it's going to go like this. Doesn't get any easier than that. So I'll just make that happen now. And don't worry, I'll edit out some of this stuff so you don't have to wait and watch me go get tools and screw stuff in. So here I am unscrewing this to connect the work clamp lead, which I want is going to be coming out of the negative terminal. So I'll put that in the negative terminal. Because like I say, I love to stick weld on DC electrode positive, 6010, 7018. So if the electrode is positive, the work clamp is negative. So this looks like it's going to go in there like that. Connecting my work clamp. It's going to stay connected for many years. There's a nut in there which is staying in place. So I'll just tighten this enough to where I can get a good ground. So that's it for the work clamp. It's not as, it's fine, it's serviceable. So here's my electrode lead. This is the screw which there's a note says it's not removable. So we're not messing with that screw. So here I've got a lot of copper. Copper into copper. And they've stripped it for me. Thank you, Miller. Here's the grub screws. Phillips. You're probably not buying those off the shelf at your local hardware store. And now I'm seeing I should have put on that plastic sheath first. Still not understanding why they gave me a hex key. They included a hex key. And I'll bet the reason is that maybe sometimes when they give you grub screws, it has a Phillips head fitting. So let's get the plastic sheath. This. Okay, so now I'm remembering that they had a copper sheet. So I am going to choose to do this. That is what I'm going to do. So we'll see how that works out for me. Okay, so that's going to be ready to slide on. Going to make sure to shove this in all the way. Now I'm ready for my grub screws. So again, there's a note on the plastic cover. There's a note that says screw not removable. And it's referring to this screw. But they gave me a hex key that fits that screw. So maybe that secures the plastic sheath. So I don't like how that went in. I'm going to push it in more. Good, I like that. So this is what the electrode holder that came with the machine looks like without the sheath on it. It looks to me like it's some kind of cast something coated with copper. Like I say, it definitely looks cast. Hopefully it's cast copper. Okay. Screw not removable. Guess we're not going to mess with that screw as long as this is on there tightly. Okay, so back to talking about this screw again. It says screw not removable, but I noticed that if I do tighten it, it will tighten the hard plastic sheath against the electrode holder. So it says it's not removable, but if I tighten it, it'll push the sheath. It'll secure the sheath on there so it doesn't slip off while you're using it. And I sure am glad this machine isn't plugged in right now. Okay, so oh, that's really pressing up against that plastic thing. So this is my electrode, and it's hooked in the positive. So I'm going to get my gear on, and I'll try running some different electrodes. I've got a lot of different electrodes here. 6010, 6011, 6012 that I got from Australia, 6013. I have 7014, 7018, 7018 AC, and 7024. And I have some 7010 A1 on the way. Okay, thanks for watching. I will turn this back on when I have my gear on.